All right, guys, I want to help you guys out by showing you how to write a contract. So one way we can do it is when we log into Flex MLS, you find out the property address. So for this, I'll just go into in the hot sheets and I'll just pull up a new listing that came up. So just find if it's 123 Main Street, we just type the address in the bar. So I want to write an offer on this house in condo in Asbury Park. So I have everything here. When I go into the bar up top, there's usually a button right here. It says loop it, and by looping it, it's going to automatically connect me to dot loop. I want to go to the William Hagen profile, hit select. The address is in there. I want to make it a buyer's purchase because I'm representing the buyer. And wait a couple seconds for this. It's going to import the information. And the first thing I want to do is scroll down to the bottom and enter everybody in there. So I always put me as the buying agent. It'll automatically populate my own stuff. If you see here, it has the listing agent, but it just says listing agent. I think it's Joe Bauman, but it doesn't have anything. So I want to edit that. I want to put his name in there. And the best way to find his name is by going into Flex. You'll kind of see right here, Joseph Bauman. And you click on his name, it'll give you all of his contact information. So it's easy to just copy and paste it. And then we'll have Joe's name in here. And we don't necessarily have to put his office address and all that information. We can do it. We can put his cell phone number. We can add all that information in there. You can either do it now in the beginning, or you can do it on the contract itself. Sometimes it's easier to do it in the beginning because then it'll auto-populate from the sheet that we do, our transaction sheet. And so I can put all this information in there. He's on West Park Ave in Ocean. So street number, I'll just go like this, delete that, delete this. It's in Ocean Township, New Jersey, and 07712. All right, so I have Joe's information in there. If I know both attorneys, I'm going to add both attorneys in here. I go to add person, put the name, their email, the role. So if it's an appraiser, buyer's attorney, selling attorney, home inspector, really don't need the home inspector, but definitely the buying attorney, the selling attorney, and the lender. Those things are very, very imperative for the transaction coordinator to be able to do their job. And then one thing I'll also do is I'll add the transaction coordinator, who's Billy Money. So one of the things on here is I could see TC at WilliamHagenGroup.com. I want to confirm that information is correct. Obviously, I don't have to enter Billy's cell phone number and the address, but if it's an attorney, if it's a lender, we definitely want to make sure we put their cell phone number in there, so that way if there's any issues and the commitment's taking longer, that the transaction coordinator can follow up and get that information for us. So once we add all the people, for this one it's a mock, so I'll put Eric Hellman as the attorney because I know his information's already in here. And so then I'll put him as the buyer's attorney. And again, I would put his cell phone number in here. His office address, not really that imperative to put in here. But as long as you have a cell phone number and email, that's enough information to get things started. Again, same thing with the lender. You put the lender's information in here. Just for this here, if it's an REO property, I want to go up here and then I would type REO just so the transaction coordinator knows that it's a bank-owned property. For this here, I'm just going to write test. So then it's going to save in there like that. And then we have all the people you see in here. Financials, I could put purchase price, so put $800,000. Sales commission total. When I look in here, it's going to tell me right here. So the buyer's agent commission is 2.5% minus the fees of $100. And when I go back here, then I'm just going to put 2.5%. Buy side, sell side, or well, I guess the commission total I'm not going to put in, but the buy side is 2.5 minus 100. right? You can put the percentage in there, and then contract dates, agreement date. We don't know that, but the closing date. So if your client wants to close 11/1, I'll just go in here and put November 1st. It's gonna put in there the inspection dates, all that other stuff. We don't know that right away when writing the offer. I mean, eventually we could go back and put that information in there. And the listing expiration date and all that stuff really doesn't apply. And then we're just going to hit save. And then when I go back up to dot loop, and when I click on here, back to the loop, and I want to see that there's going to be a sales transaction sheet. And what I could do is usually just autofill all the information, on backfill. So I didn't put the buyer's name, the seller's name, all that stuff. If I would have entered that in, it would have automatically filled all that information here. You see the both agents' information auto-populated. The mortgage company, I didn't put a mortgage rep on there. That would also auto-populate. And so the seller's attorney, again, would also roll over. So I don't need to save those changes per se. This is just for demonstration. So the CIS, Consumer Information Statement, it's mandatory. So the buyer, I would select whoever the buyer was. I'll just put me in there. So autofill. And the only thing I have to do in this sheet here is just make sure the buyer signs it. Put the name. So if it's my name goes on / whoever's writing the contract. So John Doe. So that way we're both covered with this. And we're representing buyer's agent only in this transaction. If it's dual agency, it would be buyer's agent and disclose dual agent. And then we make sure that we're going to date this. And then we hit save and share. And then we just make sure that we add the right people on here. So this shared with me because I put myself as the buyer. And then, so you're going to save and share it. The attorneys don't need to get a copy of the CIS. It's just the clients, the buyers. And if there's two buyers, then both of them want to get shared on it. So the contract, this is the part that's most important. And this is the auto templates, everything that will automatically fill out. The property address, the purchase price, earnest money amount. We don't take initial deposit. We do usually like a second deposit or 5 or 10,000. The more the second deposit is, the stronger it is. The property includes and excludes. When I go into the MLS, it'll say right here. So I just copy this line right here. It says what's included in the sale. I'll copy that. Stairway light fixture is excluded. So when I just go back here, I'll just do that, and then I can put stairway light fixture. And then when I go to the lot and block, I'll go back to the listing in MLS and Flex. I'll click the tax info, and what this is going to tell me, the seller's name, Angel Sanchez, lot and block. So it's lot number 4.02 and 4202. So when I go over here, 4.02 and then 4202, and yeah, just confirming all the information's right. I'll copy Angel Sanchez's name. So when I do this, it's going to autofill that information. I'm going to click, I represent the buyer, not the seller. And then we want to make sure that when you write your name, prepared by, so I'll put John Doe / William Hagan. That way we're both kind of protected on this. And then we're going to put the name, like, see, now I put myself as a buyer, so I'll put my name on there. The seller, I just got that information from the MLS, from actually the tax record, so it's Angel Sanchez. And so I'll put Angel's name in here. You know, usually husband, wife, husband's on this side, wife's on this side, or vice versa. And then the address, whatever it says in the tax record is the person's address. If it's an absentee owner, it'll have a different address. So this has owner occupied. So then I would basically just copy this here, put that up there. Shown in the municipal tax record, I'm going to put Asbury Park because that's where the city is. So like I said, initial deposit is going to be 0. Second deposit is going to be 10,000, especially for higher end. It could be more if I put 20,000 because it's an $800,000 house. And so if this buyer is putting 20% down, what I'm going to do is get my calculator and my phone out, and I'll take 800,000 times 0.2, and that's $160,000. So that means the mortgage is going to be the difference. So I'd say $140,000 is what the buyer is going to have to bring to the table at closing. He's going to have the $20,000 plus the 140, which will make $160, and then we say the mortgage is going to be the difference, which is $640,000. And all these numbers, these three numbers right here, 20,000 plus 640 plus 140 should equal 800. A lot of times I see people who aren't doing their math correct, and it's pretty embarrassing. But additional deposit, I always say the additional deposit is going to be probably about 2 weeks after we write the contract, because that's going to give us enough time to write the inspection. I always write buyer's attorney. Usually the seller's attorney, they can change that in review. And then when I scroll here, the 640, so the mortgage amount is going to be $640,000. And if they're going FHA or VA, I want to make sure I check that box. And there's also additional disclosures that accompany that. So I'm going to say conventional, 30 years, 30 years. Now this date here, I usually put 30 days for a mortgage commitment, but you can leave it blank, because right here it says if left blank, then within 30 calendar days after the return and review period is over. So you can just leave this box right here blank. If it's an FHA buyer and they're putting, say, 3.5% down, and I can get them committed because it's pre-underwritten or pre-underwritten, then I could just put 7 days, 10 days. I want to make sure I speak to the lender first and say, look, can you get me a mortgage commitment if everything's done beforehand? You took the client through underwriting, and then can you get me a mortgage commitment in 10 days? And if they say yes, I want to disclose that to the selling agent and let them know that I don't have the best terms, but we can get a mortgage commitment in 10 days. And let them have the lender's number and ask for themselves. All right, so this is where I put what's included, what's excluded. I noticed typos. All right, I'll go and fix those. This is the CO. So if the expense exceeds X amount. So if left blank, 1.5% of the purchase price. I always leave this blank because attorneys are going to change it. Municipal assessments. Does the town have any municipal assessments coming up? So it could be, they're doing a new sidewalk, whatever it is. Most of the time it's going to be has not. You find this information from the selling agent. Just ask them, are there any assessments coming up? If it's a single family house, we're putting single in this line. And then we're going to scroll back down. Tenancies. Are there tenants in place? If it's investment property, there might be. We want the name of the tenants, how much rent they're paying, how much the security deposit is, and the term of the lease. If there's no tenants and the sellers are selling and moving out, we're going to put NA. Most of the time, unless it's investment property, it's got to be NA. Lead-based paint, anything built before 1978, it's applicable. Anything after that, we're going to put NA. All right, we'll go down here. This is just about the home inspection period. If left blank, then 3 business days. I always leave this blank. Let the attorneys change their review. The point of entry treatment system deals with water treatment system. I'm going to say most of the time people don't have that. Sellers will let you know if that's the case, and it'll be in the listing. Cesspool requirements. If it has a septic and the septic is more than 40 years old, you might have a cesspool. And if you do, in New Jersey, it's actually illegal, so it has to get changed to a septic system. If it's public utilities, it's NA. Buyer represents, seller represents, there's no cesspool. Again, this information can be confirmed with the listing agent. We always say that the seller agrees prior to closing. It's their expense to take care of those things. Unless it's a bank-owned property, that's when the bank's going to make the buyer do it. Usually the banks will go and change bad septic before putting it on the market. Again, these lines here, wood boring insects with the home inspection. If left blank, 14 days. If it says if left blank, I'm probably going to leave it blank. Same thing, we scroll down a little bit further. Line 352, if left blank, 14 calendar days. I'm going to leave that blank. So I'm going to keep scrolling down and just seeing what else has to get filled out. And we're seeing here on the bottom, all right, business relationships. So we're going to put Keller Williams, East Monmouth. which autofills for us. And then representative, it's going to be William Hagan / John Doe. And I'm representing the buyers, and the information is provided by Gloria Nielsen, and they're representing the sellers. License ID, I go back to Joe Bauman's public profile on Flex MLS. That's his license number, and next to it is his office license number. So I'm going to put his license number here, and then I'm going to put his office license right next to it. All right, per listing agreement. I don't know Joe's commission on this. If we want to get his office phone number, we can copy and paste that right here. Again, this just makes it easy for the attorneys, everyone who's looking at the contract. Participating firm, this is usually auto filled in. I don't know why this wasn't, but it's our firm, Keller Williams, East Monmouth, William Hagan, address 750 Broad Street, Shrewsbury, New Jersey, 07702. Office phone number. If you don't know like my license number, which I don't know offhand, I just type in my name in Flex, and you'll see my profile come up. When it does, this is my license number. Below it is the office license number. So I would just paste my license number. Control C, paste that number. All right, cell phone number. We talked about, putting Billy Mooney's number in here, which is the office number, because that's who they're going to contact. Same thing with the email. We want tc@williamhagengroup.com. So that way, a transaction coordinator. Commission due 2.5 minus 100. Office phone. We want to leave the office phone here. Again, Billy Mooney will take a look at this before he sends it over. And if the buyer is a licensed agent, then you'd have to disclose it, or the seller in that fact, which it should disclose in the agent notes. And we just look back in the agent notes, and when we go back to the property, and it would literally tell us on the bottom whether or not. So we'll put NA. And now we got to take a look at this. It's a condo, so I got to check that there's going to be addenda for condos HOA. The buyer's property sale contingency. If the buyer has a home sale contingency, you need an addendum, so you're going to check the box. Lead-based paint. If there's an addendum needed, you're going to check the box. If it's new construction, check the box. FHA loan, check the box. So any of these things apply. If it's septic and well, you got to check the box. If it's a 3-family, 3 or more units, 5-family, 6-family home, short sale, underground fuel tanks. So if there's a seller's concession, check the box right here. And if there's anything like buyer has agreed to purchase outdoor furniture for $5,000. Anything additional that you want to know, or a buyer will lease the property back to the seller for 2 months at $800 a month. Whatever additional contract provisions are put in there. And that's pretty much the contract. When I'm done, I hit save and share. And that'll share with the buyers who have to fill everything out. And one thing I think what we agreed upon is that once you're done, really shouldn't be save and share, and you should hit save, and then make sure that you fill out all the addendums, upload the pre-approval letter, which add file from the computer, and then you're just going to browse. So mine, I'll just put pre-approval and see what comes up. So this is there's a couple old pre-approvals. I'm going to upload the pre-approval letter, contracts in there. If there's a seller's disclosure, I'm going to get this from the listing agent, which is usually online. All right, when I go in Flex, let's see, 1501 Ocean. So if I pull this back up, 1501 Ocean Ave, Asbury Park. I'll take a look at here, and it says there's no additional documents. So usually there'll be a form here that says documents. You click on it, you can download the sales disclosure, lead-based paint disclosure. Sometimes there's surveys in there. And then we're just going to upload it in the .loop. Sales disclosure, lead-based paint. If there's none, then we just want to make a note to the transaction coordinator. We call the agent and get it. If it's not uploaded into the Flex MLS, I'll call the agent, shoot the agent a text and say, look, I need the sales disclosure for 123 Main Street. If he says there is none, I'm going to let transaction coordinator, they don't have one. As far as the initial deposit check, again, we don't collect that. The second deposit check, the transaction coordinator will take care of. Attorney correspondence, the transaction coordinator will also take care of. All these things right here, if it's dual agency, that means Keller Williams East Monmouth represents the buyer and the seller, then we'd have to get this form filled out. You click on dual agency, and it'll tell you literally how to fill everything out. Name of licensee, name of the firm, so it'd be William Hagan / John Doe, Keller Williams East Monmouth, and then all the information would be populated here. Make sure that we date it, then we'd hit save. All right, I don't want to save those changes. And as we scroll down, you just see the other addendum. If there's a HOA addendum, so what I want to do in the HOA addendum, I'm going to put the name of the homeowners association. In this case, it's going to be right here, $800 a month. Management phone number, it's not in there. I can ask the agent. Usually it'd be called North Beach, the number. And if you do some research, if the agent doesn't get back to me, I can look at other listings in the same development and see if anyone else has it. So there's a couple of units available in this development. So if I look down, I could just reach out to one of these agents and say, do you know the number of the HOA? So again, there's just notes on the bottom kind of tell you some things about the property. So after I get all the addendums filled out, whatever addendums I need, again, sometimes I don't need any of these addendums. So what I would just do is click the ones I don't need, all the ones I'm not using, and I would just go up here and hit archive, and it's just going to move them where I don't see them. It's not taking up all that room. And then once I get all those addendums, everything teed up, everything filled out, the contracts filled out, and then have the pre-approval uploaded, the sales disclosures uploaded, lead-based paint, then what I want to do is I want to let Billy Mooney know, hey Billy, I have an offer for a house. Everything's already in the loop. Can you please share it with the buyer and start attorney review? So yeah, that's pretty much how to write a contract. Hope that helps you guys out.